Nah, I don't want to go in
Four
there.
walls and a door. Yeah, it was like,
yeah. If she'd have known there was water in there, it might have been different.
True.
So how'd your kids feel about the snow?
Oh, man, they loved it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Leilani, Enzo both went out. I actually got some footage of it. You know, I told Leilani to take the GoPro and just record it because this is Enzo's first real snow.
Okay.
You know, where he can actually go out and enjoy it.
Yeah, Madeline's too.
Yeah, so they went out there and, I mean, they built the snowman. They did some sledding. Yep. I mean, they had a good time. They had a real good time. I was surprised we got as much snow as we did.
This to me is the kind of snow to get. You know, it comes for a day or two. It's fun to play in, and then it's gone.
Only thing you see is like
I'm all
carcasses of snowman standing up out there. That's about it.
I got it off of my decks.
Yep.
And off of my front, walkway and all that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's not on the driveway anymore. So.
Hey, saturate the ground a little bit.
I'm not a person that likes snow.
I don't care for it.
No, I don't care for it.
I mean, we lived in the Midwest for 13 years, so I got very accustomed to snow and cold being in the Midwest.
Well, I grew up in southern Michigan and northern Ohio.
There you go.
I was about 13, so same.
Yeah.
I've shoveled.
I mean,
I don't want to.
I learned how to drive, in the snow. I mean, I drove a Mustang for years. In the winters.
Tough.
I remember one time I was living out in Omaha, Nebraska.
Okay.
And I spent about a year out there. And one winter I was in the city, and in the city in Omaha, it's hilly. You got some hills,
Okay.
So
never been there.
I got stuck at the bottom of a hill one time.
In that Mustang.
In that goddamn Mustang.
Dang. No weight in the rear end.
No weight in the rear end.
You didn't have any like bricks back there or anything? You didn't have anything in the trunk, like some bricks or something back there?
No. And I had to go that way. So what I ended up doing is I had to back up like a couple blocks.
Get a running start.
To get a running start to that hill. Yeah. Now, when I got over the hill, stopping was a whole nother story.
Yeah.
But I got my running start.
Over it.
And I got over that damn hill, and I got to the house, man.
You try to get to the top, just barely creeping over. Like, let me see what I got going on here if I need to, try to keep from sliding.
Omaha was a cool city. Omaha, I mean, like the city itself, it was a small city.
Right.
But how
many people live there?
I couldn't even tell you.
Okay.
But it was one of those.
Bigger than Huntsville?
It was one of those cities that was separated by like the north and the south side. So your blacks was on the south side, the whites was on the north side. I mean, look, it was legitimately. I mean, almost like you crossed the tracks. Sure. You know what I'm saying? This the black side of town. This the white side of town.
A lot of places like that. Yeah.
And Malcolm X is from Omaha, Nebraska.
No kidding.
I learned that. That one threw me off. I didn't realize Malcolm X was born in Omaha, Nebraska. I think they still had like his house he grew up in and all types of situations.
Yeah, I mean, I never considered where he was born, but yeah, who'd have thought that?
And another fact about Omaha, they have the world it's either the world biggest zoo or the world best zoo. At least when I was there back in like 2015.
In Omaha, Nebraska.
In Omaha, Nebraska. It's either the world biggest or the world the number one. It's either the number one zoo or the biggest zoo. I can't remember exactly. I went once with my kids.
One way or another, it's a heck of a zoo.
It's a heck of a zoo. It's like a world renowned zoo where a lot of people go. Like a tourist attraction. That was another thing about it. And another thing about it is Omaha it borders Council Bluff, Iowa.
Why do I know Council Bluff, Iowa?
Separated by a river.
Why do I know that town?
I don't know why would you know Council Bluff,
What's
Iowa.
it famous for?
I couldn't tell you. I just knew you looked over the bridge and you saw Council Bluff. You stood on the river. They had like a walking bridge that connected them.
You ever been to Niagara Falls?
Never in my life.
It's a river. On the other side is Canada.
Is Niagara Falls man-made or is it a natural phenomenon?
It's a natural phenomenon.
I've seen photos of it and it's beautiful.
It's beautiful, yeah. It's prettier from the Canadian side.
Right, but
because you can look back and see the American Falls.
How far of a drive is it to get from this side to the Canadian side?
It's a bridge.
Okay, they got a bridge.
You could see a dude over there. Oh yeah, you drive across. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like if there was a guy on the other side, you could see him. It's a ways. You couldn't. It's not a walking bridge. It's probably across that river is probably, man.
Never been.
500 yards maybe. I mean, it's wide.
I've seen like people.
There's a lot of water. Think of all the water coming off of Niagara Falls, and it's all in that river. Just underneath of it there. Yeah.
What is the lake that feeds Niagara Falls, or the river that feeds? I say lake.
It's wild. It's kind of a small river when you get into it. I guess there are a couple of different rivers. I'm not an expert for sure. Okay, but I guess the main one, especially on the American side, it's a pretty good sized river, but I mean, I would compare it like to the Flint or something. There's probably another river on the other side.
One river
coming
like
in
the
or whatever.
Flint is
but the
feeding
point is,
that much water. You see, I can't even think of the gallons coming over the damn side of that
millions
that waterfall a minute.
100 yards above the falls, you could just walk in the river. I got pictures of me and Jessica just wading in that river 100 yards above the falls. Like if you got in there on a tube, you're going over Niagara Falls.
Right.
Yeah. On the American side, you can walk right up. There's a rail like a school kid, like at school. It's not like a fence. A kid could just slip right underneath of it and jump right off into the fall. Right up into the waterfall.
What about them guys that was riding the damn whiskey barrels off the side of the fall?
I've listened to a couple of podcasts about that.
Did people really do that? Like getting the damn barrel and just barrel over the fall.
I've listened to a couple of podcasts. There's been like 10 or 15 people that have done it.
Did they survive? I mean,
some of them did and some of them didn't.
When is it? Is it rocky at the bottom of the fall?
Yeah, one of them's barrel got stuck underneath of the water coming down over it, and just like rolling and tumbling underneath of the water.
Like he was calling like a vortex.
For hours, for hours. And
just
somehow they got him out. And of course he was dead as hell. Yeah. He was dead. I think the first one was a woman, and
is that natural selection?
I think that's that's a Darwin Award right there.
That's a Darwin Award.
Yeah, that's a Darwin Award.
If you want to ride the barrel over the fall,
it's big time illegal. Now,
I mean, what's the worst? I mean, if I die, who cares if it was illegal?
It's not that big of a fine, actually. I say big time illegal. They're going to arrest you and stuff, but it's just a fine.
That's if you make it out.
If you make it out.
That's the least of your worries. You go over the side.
I think the first one was a woman, and I think it was a wooden barrel, and I think she just patted it inside like crazy and just got lucky.
Yeah.
And she was
started a trend.
It was a stunt so that she could use it was a publicity stunt so she could try to make money off of it. I think she was in her 50s or something like that and couldn't figure out any other way to make money. And so she said, I'm going to get a padded barrel.
She lived long enough to have some sense. I mean,
and she lived for a while after that. I think she lived to be an old lady. I think. I don't want to, I listened to a podcast, man. So, I'm not an expert, but yeah. But 10 or 12 people have gone over, and some of them have died and some of them have lived. And
wow.
Yep.
That's amazing.
One of them, a kid and his dad and maybe uncle or whatever, but anyway, they were fishing in a boat upriver above the falls, and the kid fell out and went over the falls and lived. And there's a boat that you can get on, like a tourist boat. They might have like 50 people on this boat, and it drives right up to the edge of the falls. It's called the Maid of the Mist. And this kid that went over the falls accidentally got picked up by the Maid of the Mist, and he was fine. Nothing wrong with him.
Wow.
Yeah. Isn't that wild? Just went over
and he happened to hit at the perfect time where that boat was pulling up.
I guess, yeah.
Here I
must
am.
have, yeah. Hey, look at me. And I'm sure they were like, what the hell? This kid just came over,
Wow.
Yeah. Can you imagine being the guys in the boat?
There's a kid out.
Oh, no, but I'm talking about you're fishing. It's your kid.
Oh, yeah, your kid. Oh, man.
Your kid, your nephew, and you see him go over the falls.
I mean, really, I'm jumping in. If it's a kid, like I'm trying to get a hold of him,
It makes me wonder how that happened.
We both going over the falls.
Yeah, it makes me wonder how that happened and were they that close? I don't know the whole story.
Oh, wow.
But, yeah, that's pretty wild, isn't it?
Let's introduce ourselves.
That's a good idea.
I think we missed the mark on the last episode before we get too ahead of ourselves.
Was it a weak introduction, or did we just forget it altogether?
I think we forgot it altogether. I think we got the rolling. We got the talking.
Mr. Producer, man, usually
you got the talking.
Wait, what?
you got the talking.
What are you saying, man? Clarence Carter.
Shay got the go. You got the cooking, and hey, you get the cooking, Shay. I just let you cook. I mean, it's only gonna be one chef in the kitchen at a time.
Like,
he was heating up. He was on fire. Actually, he wasn't even heating up.
He's coming through. Don't stand in the way.
Don't stand in the way. I
just
let you go.
It's been a weird last few weeks. We've missed several weeks, and then we were here last week, and here we are again in that 86 Kids studio.
Shout out that 86 Kids studio.
Shout out that 86 Kids studio.
Hey.
It's a beautiful Monday night.
I think it's the beginning of a new season for us as well.
I think you're correct, sir. Are you sure, or is this episode 6 of season 3?
I think it's episode 1 of season 4.
Mr. Producer, what say you? Episode
Our
1 of season 4.
Producer man.
Episode 1 of season 4.
Episode 1 of season 4.
That's pretty wild. How many episodes do we have?
I
don't even know.
Almost at least 20.
We have a bit of a catalog.
At least 20.
You know, my friend Ricky Garcia says nobody's going to see the first 100 things you do.
No one's going to see
if that's true,
100 things you do.
You know, I heard Andrew Schultz, the comedian, he's got a podcast called Flagrant. He said it took a year for his podcast to gain traction, and that's Andrew Schultz. So we're not going to get discouraged.
And is he putting out an episode a week?
I'm not sure. I wasn't even really aware of it until Trump went on.
Putting out an episode a week.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, at the minimum.
It's him and it's like a couple other guys.
Right.
2 or 3 other guys. You know, they sit down and, whatever, a couple hours. It's pretty good.
Okay.
Andrew Schultz is pretty smart.
Wow.
So deep in the heart of beautiful Huntsville, Alabama. You know, I was thinking about that again, driving in here tonight. What a beautiful city we live in.
Oh, we live in an amazing city.
It is really an amazing city. I came off of 565 and got on Memorial Parkway and then just did that little loop around Clinton, came down Clinton to the studio. It's just a beautiful ride. It's just gorgeous. I love Huntsville. Love this city.
How could you not?
What a beautiful place.
It is. And I've been a lot of places.
You have?
Yes.
Yes, sir, you have.
I've been a lot of places.
But I can't imagine another place I'd like to live. There are some places I really love to go.
I could think of a lot of more places I like to live, but Huntsville is a beautiful place. It is. It's legitimately a.
If you couldn't live in Huntsville, where would you live?
Beautiful place. Or in America or outside of America?
Wherever. Huntsville's number 1. What's your number 2 choice?
When I leave here,
FBI
I think
relocation.
when I leave here, I think I'm moving abroad. If I leave Huntsville,
where are you thinking?
Probably my wife's home country,
which is
my wife's
we've talked about that
birth country.
Where's she from?
West Africa, Côte d'Ivoire.
Côte d'Ivoire,
which means the Ivory Coast.
The Ivory Coast
translates to the Ivory Coast.
Côte d'Ivoire.
Côte d'Ivoire. Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire.
I've heard it's beautiful there.
I've been.
Have you?
Yeah.
Is it beautiful?
It is. Very.
You got a look in your eye like you already got a place over there.
Hey, are we done with introduction, Shay? Hold on, you get off. We started to go down rabbit hole. I thought we was introducing ourselves.
All right. Look, I came out with the studio. I was waiting for you to take it from there. And now, coming to you live from that 86 Kid studio deep in the heart of beautiful Huntsville, Alabama, here with my co-host, Q the Messenger, and our illustrious producer, Kevin the Boss Man Richardson. I'm Shane the Brain, and this is Vendor Chronicles. How's that? Take the bull by the horn. Do an introduction.
It was beautiful. That's what I was trying. I was trying to get you to do that.
Oh, yeah?
I like you doing the introductions. I like Shane doing the introductions.
I'll do the introductions. I'm gonna mix it up every week, though.
We're growing, though. You know what I'm saying? Like people out there listening, like we just like you said, it's organic.
That's true.
And we working out things that work naturally. And I mean live. You know,
live, yeah,
in a sense.
Yeah. It really is. I don't know how to describe that.
Just
growing in front of people.
We just, two guys.
Sometimes we say things that we think about and we're like, you know what? That wasn't good. Very seldom have we ever censored anything. There's been a couple times. Once or twice where we've said something.
Had to censor something on the podcast.
The only time anything on this podcast has ever been censored that y'all didn't hear, the person that said it was the one that said,
maybe we shouldn't have.
Let's take that out. It never was somebody else saying, hey, you shouldn't, There was one time when we all kind of looked at each other like, oh, I don't know about that. But
it's...
You know what?
Hey.
We're learning about a lot of different things together in front of our friends and family, especially right now.
Right.
My wife told me the other day.
Learned a lot.
Yeah.
From listening to this stuff that I haven't. They was like, you never told us that. I mean, it's just when you sit down and you talk to someone, it's things that wouldn't even come up to even think to tell my kid or my wife.
Yeah,
like it had
things you've forgotten from years and years ago.
Right.
Jessica said that it was like hearing somebody tell some of the stories of her life as a narrator. like from a different perspective. She's like, I lived some of these stories, but hearing you talk about it, it's like somebody narrating my life, which was kind of wild.
Yeah, I guess
we're kind of narrating our lives and bringing people up to speed.
Narrating our lives.
And it kind of bounces back like a Tarantino movie. It goes from one scene to the other, live in front of everybody.
Live in front of everyone.
So speaking of live in front of everyone,
excuse me,
there's an event coming up.
Yeah.
As it turns out, for the very first time, Vendor Chronicles is going to go not only recorded live here at that 86 Kids studio, but we're going to take the entire podcast to the Huntsville Times building, and we are going to be part of the Savor art exhibition. I can barely say it. The Savor, like
Savor.
S-A-V-O-R. S-A-V-O-R. Savor. As in savor your life, savor the experiences around you, savor the people who are...
Savor the moment.
Savor the moment. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Savor the moment.
Uh-huh.
Which, honestly speaking, has been what this podcast has been about since the beginning, hasn't it?
Yeah.
We're chronicling our lives. If nothing else, at some point, our kids may come back and listen to this.
That's what I'm hoping.
Can you imagine Madeline and Enzo are teenagers,
right,
hanging out somewhere? They probably done snuck a beer or two. They are kids, right?
They are our kids.
They are our kids. And maybe they're, listening to this old podcast and hearing the stories that happened when they were babies or whatever.
Or just maybe being able to hear their dad's voice.
Maybe by that time
like
I'm gone.
Years ago when when my son's 40, or whatever, and I'm dead and gone.
Gone, yeah.
He can always have this to fall back on. Like,
one way or another,
I can always hear my dad's
voice.
voice.
Savor the moment.
Tell some silly ass stories.
Yeah.
Like, you can't make some of the shit you can't make.
You can't make up. So we're going to do this live at the Savor art exhibition.
Back on topic.
The art exhibition runs from February 1st to February 28th.
Correct.
During Black History Month and Mental Health Awareness Month.
I didn't know those two was.
I didn't either.
I knew February was Black History Month.
There's a website you can go to. It's www.thecuratedgallery.com. Thecuratedgallery.com. Y'all go to that website. Check out this art exhibition. I don't know the dates that we're going to be there yet, but we will announce those as soon as we know.
Right.
And we'll make some announcements and posts on social media about that.
We don't even fully know our role in the whole
that's a good
experience,
We were talking about that off air. We thought we might bring you into the conversation.
I'm going to be there.
Faithful listeners, we'll be there.
How it plays out is how it plays out. We was just trying to work our way through it,
That's how this podcast has always been.
We definitely want people to talk to. We want some guests.
Come down to the art exhibition and sit down and join the conversation for a few minutes.
Join the conversation.
We'll have another mic set up.
Yep.
We'll have a comfortable chair, and we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah.
Let's keep it tasteful, but
are we gonna have any?
Are
we gonna have any set questions? Like, okay, here's a list of questions we might ask you. Or
so what if somebody
sits down? Do we want people to bring
down
questions? Like, hey, you got any questions for us? Like, I don't know. However it may play.
Well,
how would you see it playing out? Would you like people to have questions for us, or would you like us to have questions for people? Which I think we probably should have some questions, just in case that person is maybe a hard nut to crack.
Well,
you know
another
what I'm
thing,
saying? Some people just can't sit down and just
that's a good point.
Start talking or just
and we've been friends long enough where every time we see each other, it's just like the conversation never stopped.
Right.
And not everybody's going to be quite as comfortable. But here's the thing: there is a focus here on mental wellness.
Correct.
Mental health. Also,
wellness.
Black History Month.
Mm-hmm.
So those are two topics that we might steer people towards.
Okay. Yeah.
Tell me what Black History Month means to you. That's kind of off the shelf. Tell me what mental health means to you.
I like that question.
What advice do you have?
What is mental health?
What is mental health? There you go. What does that mean to you? What does mental health mean to you?
Mental health mean to you?
Because I imagine it's different for a lot of people.
I would imagine so, Shane.
Depending on,
I might look at it a lot different than someone else. Mental health.
Probably. But we probably all do.
You know.
What's there? Okay, well, since we're talking about it, there you go. What is your idea of mental health? What does that mean to you?
Just peace of mind.
Okay.
I mean, peace of mind is very valuable.
That can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people.
Peace of mind.
To the homeless person.
What is a peace of mind?
To the homeless person, peace of mind is a couple of cheeseburgers from McDonald's and a clear, not too cool, not too warm night.
That might be a great peace of mind.
An uninterrupted sleep to a homeless person.
Yeah.
To a politician, it's a vote, maybe.
Yeah. You're right.
It means a lot of different
things.
Peace
of mind comes in a lot of different forms for different people.
So what's your idea of peace of mind? For you personally?
Freedom.
Freedom.
The older I get, the more freedom means a lot to me. Like, my peace of mind is, if something's being a burden to me, I'm willing to let it go, Shane.
Give me an example.
Like, let's say my truck payment.
Okay.
I got to make a $600 payment every month. It's almost becoming burdensome. Even if I can make the payment, I still don't even want to make the payment. Even if I have the funds to make the payment.
Right.
So it's almost to the point to like, do I really need this truck? Do I need a $600 a month truck? When it's like a monkey on my back.
Or could I find one for $8,000 or $9,000? Or can I find one for
$8,000 or $9,000? Let them just come take it. I won't even hide it. It's in the driveway.
Can you get out from under it without that happening?
I wouldn't even care.
Are you upside down?
I think I owe like 20 on it. I think the truck's probably worth 18 if you look at the blue book. But that's the car market right now. The car market's down. If it bounce back, that truck might become more. But I'm saying it's a monkey on my back every month.
Right.
Is, let's say, a blemish on my credit report worth that monkey being on my back for the next 3 years, 4 years?
At some point it boils down to what's most important.
Not having that monkey on that burden on my back.
So you talk about a financial burden.
Yeah, that's an example.
Sure.
This
past year has been financially tough, I think, on a lot of us.
It has.
Inflation has really kind of caught us off guard. And
I don't know if it caught us off guard. If you saw you could see the writing.
Well, sure.
You keep kicking the can down the road. They keep counterfeiting
money.
money.
Keeps getting kicked.
When they print money, it's counterfeiting money, basically. If they keep printing it, they counterfeiting money.
For sure.
And
just so they got more money.
Putting it on the taxpayers.
Right.
But that's another story. Keep going.
But this year has been financially, it's been a struggle.
Yeah.
It's been a struggle. Both of us have got new additions to our family. Yep. We're talking about milk and diapers and wipes and, kids growing out of clothes and goodness, all the things.
With inflation and sales being down.
And that's the thing with what we do for a living.
Double whammy.
It's a double whammy. That's right. We don't have that guarantee of a salary, even though inflation is making all the dollars go less far. We're getting less of the dollars right on the top.
Right off the top, Shane.
And I have considered, either one of us could plug back into the corporate world.
Mm-hmm.
Give either one of us a year, and we're going to be in a position where some company has got us doing something where we're making good money and can, we'll be doing really well. It wouldn't take that long to work back into that for either one of us.
But would you want that?
Well,
would you want to get that carrot dangled in front of you and then now
the carrot and the stick? Sure.
Now you chasing the carrot.
But would you do it if that was the only way you could feed your family?
Of course.
Of course.
Yeah, I think that's a no-brainer.
And when we start taking a look at, this shrinking dollar and the shrinking pile of dollars that it started with, and we start looking at our kids and we start thinking, okay, what am I going to do here financially? But I take a look at it, at least in the position I am now, that the time that I get to spend with my family now, you can't buy that.
You can't buy it. You can't even put a price tag on it.
And that's 10 years from now, of course, 10 years from now, I'll be 63. But 10 years from now, if I need to, do something different, okay, maybe something different. 5 years, whatever it may be. But as long as I can make things work and spend the amount of time that I get to spend with my daughter as she grows up, and I know you feel the same way about your kids.
Yeah.
You know,
it's priceless.
It's priceless.
I can't even put a price tag on being able to.
So to me,
spend the day with my kids.
And to you, that's your freedom.
That's my freedom. And that's my peace of mind.
The freedom and the peace of mind to be able to raise your kids the way you see fit.
Now, okay, do I let that truck go or do I go get a job where I can't spend time with my family?
There you go.
You get what I'm saying?
I do. I very much get what you're saying. I'm driving a van I bought from a dude at the flea market. I know what you're saying, man. I do.
Yeah.
We make those hard choices, and one way or another, you're going to look back and say, okay, well, I could have done this and this would have been different.
Mm-hmm.
You got to decide what you want to look back and remember.
Correct.
I think we said on this podcast one time, a quote I saw said, 20 years from now, the only one that will remember that you worked overtime is your kids.
It's your kids.
That company that you're working for, remember that, if what you're doing is not benefiting you long term, if it's not what's best for your family, then
I listened to a guy this morning. He was adopted by his grandparents, and he's talking about the times that he encountered his mom and his dad, his actual mom and dad. He's living with his grandparents.
Right.
But he said one time he seen his dad, and his dad didn't even recognize him.
Wow.
And he was like, I look just like him. And it was amazing that he didn't even recognize me.
Mm.
He was like, I remember how that made me feel. He was like, I can forgive, but that feeling won't go away.
Right.
And so now he talks about how his dad's on his deathbed, and one of his sisters that's from his dad is calling him to say, hey, your dad want to see you. Your dad want to see you.
Mm.
And he was like, you didn't want to see me when you was healthy.
Right.
Now why you want? Now you're on your deathbed. Now you want to see me. He was like, look, too little, too late.
Too little, too late. Don't let it be too little, too late.
Don't let it be too little, too late.
I know a thing or two about that.
Time is short, really.
Time really is short,
especially the way it's moving.
And how many new trucks do you need? Or how many, the latest and greatest iPhone, or
what are you willing to sacrifice time for those?
Yeah.
For those.
Because that's what it comes down to.
Toys or whatever, trinkets.
That's what it comes down to.
I'm going to call them trinkets.
Trinkets. They really are
those trinkets.
They really are trinkets.
But
I'll tell you one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Back when I was in the restaurant business, if it snowed, you're there. You got to be at the restaurant because there's a lot of people that aren't going to be there, and you're the one in charge. The buck stops here, and so you've always got to be there. And so anytime there was snow or a weather day from school or whatever, I was never able to spend that time with my kids. And this year when it snowed,
guess what? You was out there in the snow.
Out there in
with
the
your
snow
kid.
With Madeline and Jessica making a snowman. And I got a real cute picture of Madeline standing at the back door. She's got the curtains thrown back, one in each hand, and her arms spread wide, and you can see the snow behind her. It's the first time she'd ever seen snow, and I captured the picture of it. It looks,
wow,
priceless.
Yep, it is priceless. When we woke up that morning, I opened up the blinds in the room, and I put Enzo at the window.
Yeah.
And we stood there for like 15 seconds. He was just amazed by it. He was like, it's all white out there. I can see that's what he's thinking. Like, man, why is it white outside? And so I set him back down. He's still looking out the window.
Overtime don't cover that.
Overtime don't cover it. It's
Overtime
priceless.
Does not cover that. Nope. It's
priceless, Shane.
So
that's my definition, peace of mind.
There you go.
And when I say freedom, I mean I'm not burdened by nothing.
Right.
I'm willing to let it go.
Let it go.
Let it go.
Let it go. There's a line in a song by Jason Isbell. The line says, take a year and make a break. There ain't that much at stake. The answers might be relatively easy. Take a year and make a break. There ain't that much at stake. The answers might be relatively easy.
Right.
Sometimes I think we work so hard trying to find something. We don't even really know what it is. Some sort of happiness, some sort of security, some sort of peace of mind.
Peace of mind.
And we work so hard trying to find it that we work right past it.
You work right past it.
We're going so hard that when whatever that is that's going to give us that peace of mind comes up, our momentum just carries us past it and we lose it.
Wow.
We got real deep real fast. Episode 1.
To call it deep?
It probably wasn't that fast either. We've been on here for a minute.
I think that's a good segue into this show.
I think so.
You know,
I think so, because I think mental health should be on all of our minds. I know for me, this podcast has been a big part of my mental health.
Yeah. I think I said it once, that this is almost therapeutic.
It really is. We've texted each other a few times on Mondays before we come down here to record. Looking forward to tonight's session. Tonight's therapy session. But it really is a lot of times. And I hope it's that way for you guys, too. And I hope if you guys are thinking about some of the things that we're talking about, that you'll leave us a comment.
Please do. Yeah. Like, share, comment,
Don't
subscribe.
forget to like and subscribe.
Like, share, comment, subscribe. I think that's what you see a lot of guys say.
Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Do something. Interact with us in some way.
I got a good buddy that's listening to the podcast. He's been binging it. Goes by the name of Nick Moore.
Nick Moore. Shout out, Nick Moore.
Shout out, Nicholas Moore.
Nick went to Nashville with us to the Monster Truck Show.
He did.
We had a good time.
And my guy, he's been listening. He's been taking notes on like every episode.
I started to call you the other night and ask you what those notes. Did you guys have a chance to talk about it?
Not so much. He kind of showed me a little bit, and we went over a few things, but we didn't.
Was that when you guys went to Big Whiskey?
No. We
he texted me and said, "Hey, come down and have a drink."
I went over his house on the snow day.
Oh, okay, yeah.
On the snow day, went over there, but we was, we had family and stuff, so we didn't just get to have a one-on-one and really discuss.
I got you, sure.
Any notes he took, but he was like he's enjoying it. He did say that he don't know why we don't introduce in the beginning or how we just come in with conversation. You like, man, you come in almost a little lost, but he was like, I like it. He says different, but he don't understand why you do it. And, I kind of told him, hey, it's just organic. We want it to be natural.
Yep.
And I think that's going to be brand.
Okay.
If that's the right word to use, like that's kind of our signature. Our signature. Where we just come in with the flow of a conversation.
And I think it kind of sets up the fact that this really is, again, just a couple of dudes.
No notepads in front of us.
We're sitting down.
I think we tried to bring a notepad in the beginning.
I've tried it a few times and
it just don't work. You might hit one topic on that notepad, then we kind of go Alice in the Wonderland.
We need a stenographer.
We go down a rabbit hole. What was that word?
A stenographer.
Is that the typist?
Like in court or something?
Yeah, the lady over there.
You ever see that Chappelle Show skit?
The stenographer.
This guy, he had a midget in a backpack on his back.
I love midget shit.
And the midget was a stenographer.
A dwarf.
And so whatever happened in his life, the midget was taking everything down as a stenographer, and he could play it back. So like he got in a fight with his girl.
Yes.
And she's like, you called me a crackhead hoe or whatever. And he's like, read it back. The little midget says, actually, he called you a skank-ass bitch or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's like...
Oh, midget.
We need a stenographer. We need a little person stenographer here for the. That would be hilarious.
A dwarf stenographer.
Oh, I don't mean disrespect.
No, man. I
love everybody.
Yeah, me too. Especially midgets. Especially midgets. Oh, man. I remember it was an episode of Martin. I don't know if you ever watched Martin.
Not really, no.
But
something about that dude gets on my nerves.
He had an episode where he got beat up by a midget. Like it was a midget game. They jumped him,
and they beat him up.
Yeah, it was a one-eyed midget named Bushwhack Bill. He was a part of the Ghetto Boys. Bushwhack Bill beat Martin. Bushwhack Bill beat Martin ass, man. A one-eyed midget, man. You can't make the shit up, Shay. It's a true story. Hey.
I mean,
man.
Okay.
Shout out midgets. Man.
Shout out to midgets.
I told you about the midget named Too Tall.
Too Tall. I had the pleasure
yeah. What kind of name is that for a midget?
Too Tall. I mean, it's like calling a fat dude tiny or whatever.
Tiny, right. Oh, you tiny? Man. But
wow.
Okay, let's come back around.
All right, we're coming back.
You did ask me where would I go? I said my wife's country of origin. Maybe.
Say it again.
The Ivory Coast.
Cote
d'Ivoire. It's called Cote d'Ivoire. Ivory Coast.
It's got a nice ring to it.
Yeah, Cote d'Ivoire.
Where are you from?
Cote d'Ivoire, West Africa.
West Africa.
They're known for, I think they produce 70% of the world cocoa.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 70% of the world cocoa comes out of Cote d'Ivoire, West Africa.
But you get some good chocolate over there.
My wife says she grew up eating the actual fruit, the chocolate fruit, the cocoa fruit.
Really?
Yeah, it's not refined like the chocolate we would know.
Right.
She said she grew up eating it, I guess raw, you would say.
Sure.
She moved here when she was 9. She moved to the States.
Okay.
So she spent 9 years in country. The national language is French.
Okay.
It was colonized by the French.
Which is why you speak some French.
That's why she speaks some French. I can say some words, you know what I'm saying? I would say I speak
more than
but
me.
I think if I lived in country for a year, I could learn it. Because I would be intentionally trying to learn it.
Sure.
I wouldn't be trying to shy away from it. I think if I lived in country, I can pick it up pretty easily.
A year, yeah.
And a lot of words complement each other from French to English. They might just put a little more
a flair on
it, a hyphenated E or whatever, But I think that's probably where we would end up. But I do want to tour Southeast Asia.
Southeast Asia?
Like
really?
Thailand, Philippines.
Right.
Singapore, stuff like that.
Okay.
So I say I want to, I would probably leave America because you call it dollar hacking. So let's say I can passively make $4,000 here in America.
Okay.
I can take it to another country where the dollar is still very strong.
I see what you're saying.
To where that 4,000 in actuality might be valued at 20,000.
Sure.
In their country.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
As far as its buying power.
Buying power. You dollar hacking, basically. You dollar hacking.
That makes sense.
Where cost of living and food and stuff like that is still relatively cheap compared to your dollar. Maybe not to the local who's making their currency, but to the dollar is still fairly cheap.
Still strong, yeah.
Still, yeah. So
okay.
That's one of my options. It's a strong option.
You'd have to change your citizenship, and it seems like there's a lot to that. But I mean, you got to do something.
Be an expat.
Be an expat.
But
why not?
I could be retired.
I'm kind of retired now.
Off of $4,000.
Off $4,000.
That's my magic number. Once I get to about that $4,000 mark, I think I can pretty much do whatever I want to do.
Okay.
Without ever having to work again.
So if you had to go anywhere in the United States, where would it be?
I like that northeast Tennessee range, like close to maybe the Virginias or North Carolina, somewhere up in there. It's very beautiful country up there.
It is. It gets a little colder in the wintertime.
It does get a little colder, but it's very beautiful country.
It is.
It
is beautiful country.
If I had to buy land, I've been looking. I've been considering places I might go to buy land.
South Carolina
building my
is not quite as beautiful.
Homestead.
Maybe. A lot flatter, but you can buy land in South Carolina fairly inexpensively.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those, even in the towns, even in the coastal areas, you can get land pretty close to the beach for not too much.
Right. I think if I did stay in America, that's going to be the move.
Okay.
I'm just going to have to buy land, and we might just have to live in a trailer for a couple of years as we build, something more permanent.
I've known people that did that.
Yeah.
Buy a trailer, put it on a piece of land, get you something fairly modest, but, something that's good, and then live in it while you build a house there. And, however long it takes, then you built a house for cash,
Build a house cash, however long it takes.
Yeah.
And I think, you take a mortgage off someone's head and all the extra bills, you could probably save $2,500 a month easily.
Sure.
So how much can $2,500 a month buy you a material?
Yeah,
how much wood can that buy if you're doing it? You could probably
you have to somebody help you with some of it, but
right.
Probably hire a crew to pour the foundation, then hire a crew to frame it out, and then do the rest of it yourself. And now you got no debt.
Nah, you live in debt free.
Imagine
you got a whole home and a property with no debt on your head.
No debt on your head.
I think they kind of suckered us, into how they tell you should.
Yeah.
What's the word I'm looking for? How can you work? Like you
should go, mortgage.
You should go to school. You should buy the house with the picket fence. You should do this, like kind of the.
And then you get locked in.
You think you're doing these things, and I'm doing it the right way, and then you.
I got a friend that lives just outside of Huntsville, Alabama, middle of nowhere. And when he was young, he bought some land, or maybe inherited some land, whatever it was. He's got 10 or 12 acres, 15, I don't know,
which is
land.
pretty nice.
Decent,
nice chunk of land.
He built himself a cabin on it with his own hands. and he's lived there his whole life. He's expanded and built a barn. His barn is bigger than his cabin, but his cabin is a tiny little place. He's got a big old fireplace in the wintertime. He heats it with wood. But I mean, he's got, he's never been married.
He probably got enough wood off just downfall
in his land.
In your land.
Yeah, he goes out there and cuts it up.
Cut it up.
He does whatever he does to get by, and that's how he lives. But he's never had a mortgage in his life. He's never, ever had a mortgage.
Never had a mortgage in his life.
He's in his 60s now. Shout out AJ Grund.
Shout out AJ.
Good dude.
But they don't. They don't even teach you that as an option.
As an option, no. The only option.
Go buy you some raw land, put your trail on it, build your home.
And if you knew somebody that did that, a lot of people would look down on them. Why are you doing that? It's expected that you're going to go into debt at a young age to get all the trappings.
Or even when you go to school, you're going to come out of school with a mortgage payment on your head.
Yeah, at least, for sure. For sure.
So, and then you see the
right
thing,
off the top.
You see people that come out of school. Let's say you come out of school, you get a job making $60,000, but I got a mortgage payment on my head as well. But I'm $150,000 in debt from the school. I done wasted 4 years of not making money while I was in school, however long your school may take.
Right.
Then you got this other guy. He might just go to trade school, learn how to weld or learn heating HVAC. He's making $100,000 with no debt on his head. It's gonna take you probably never catch this guy.
And he probably started out making a lot less than you started out making, but he started out 4 years
in
earlier
the trades.
Than you.
It started 4 years old, and
By the time
have
you
no
graduated,
debt.
he was probably making at least what you were making, and he was already had traction and gained footage. And pretty soon, he or
got
she
an invaluable skill,
one that's never,
that people's gonna need. I think they actually paying people now to go to school to learn trades.
I'm not surprised. Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Have you looked at the age? What do you think the average age of the workforce is right now?
Oh, right now?
I bet the average age is. I'm just guessing. I haven't looked it up. I'm just conversation. I bet it's at least 45.
I was going to say mid-40s also, yeah.
Mid-40s.
Yeah, I bet it's an older workforce than it has
it's
been
a way older
in
workforce.
a long time, yeah.
Because you still got boomers that make up a large percentage of the population that's
still having to work.
Still
grinding.
So these people work their whole life and they can't even retire. I think young people see the writing on the wall when it comes to work, because you probably looking at your parents or your grandparents and you like, man, they work their whole life and they still have to work. So then you ask yourself, what's the whole point of working? If I'm going to end up having to decide between damn Alpo dog food to feed myself or my medicine.
Yeah.
And I done gave this system my life. That's 42. The average age.
The average age in the workforce right now is 42.
It's 40. That's old.
That is old. It was 39 in 2000.
So with that math, it went up 3 years.
When is that study from? 2024. It's very recent. So in 14 years, it went up 3%. If that's linear,
which I think is going to get worse, it's going to go exponentially as time goes on.
There's a point where it's got to level out though, just from people dying.
But
it can only go so high, but I think it's going to go higher.
I think large corporations starting to see that AI might be the way to go because of that reason.
I also think, to your point, that the young people now are kind of taking a look around and going, hey, is this system really something I want to be a part of? Is this the best system we can do? I really think that's true. I think confidence in whether it's government, whether it's the media, the press, I think confidence in any type of traditional structure is probably at an all-time low in this country.
Rightfully so.
I think so, yeah.
Man, I seen something the other day. I mean, I don't know how I came across it. It just came up on my feed, but it was this guy telling a story about how he had to go pay his property taxes. And he was a Air Force veteran. And he said when he got there, he saw an old guy sitting in a truck. And he said he only approached the old guy because he liked the truck. Old, 70 C10 or whatever. Had rust holes in it, but he still liked the truck. So he went over and started talking to the old guy. And the old guy was talking about how he just had to pay his property taxes on a house he paid $9,000 for in the 60s. And he said, but with inflation and your property taxes are based off what the house is worth currently, not the 9,000.
Correct.
So he said the old guy didn't tell him what the house was worth, but he said the property taxes were $1,000 for a house that he only paid $9,000 for in the 60s.
Wow.
He said the old man said, I had to take out a loan to pay this property tax.
On a house he already paid off.
On a house he already paid off in the 60s.
Yep.
It was a $9,000 house, so no telling how long it's been paid off, but he still had to pay the property taxes even to keep the home. And if you don't pay the property tax,
they'll take it.
They're going to come take your home.
And then you take a look around and you go, okay, well, what am I paying for? I mean, roads, fire department, police department, all that stuff we need, and that's great. But
correct,
$100 billion
got a little static.
To some other war-torn country that's been fighting for 2,000 years, or it's. I think the kids are going to take a look around and see. I was listening to an episode of Joe Rogan today, and it really made me think about how the internet, and specifically in this case, podcasting, has really changed the scope of news and journalism and reporting, and started to make people realize that the news, quote unquote, that we get from mainstream media is often censored by the government in ways that we never knew about before.
Oh, way.
And now that we have unlimited communication, where somebody like Joe Rogan can have, millions and millions of viewers or what have you, whether it be his podcast or, it's just benign. We have so much information available to us that the government can't hide behind its own lies anymore.
It cannot. Alternative media.
It comes out now that, we were fed this big line about COVID, and turns out the government was actively trying to suppress real information because it didn't fit the narrative that they needed to convince us of.
Correct.
It's no wonder we don't trust our government or the structures that we've always said were.
I think I heard something. It says mainstream media is controlled by like 6 companies. 6 companies control all of mainstream. When I say mainstream, I'm talking about your Foxes, your CNN, your stuff, stuff like that. And of course, all of them are in cahoots.
For sure.
They gon' feed the narrative they want you to see.
Here's an example of that. The AP News, Associated Press.
Okay.
That's like a news clearinghouse, I guess maybe would be a way to describe it. They write certain stories, and then those stories get picked up by news outlets across the country. Mm-hmm. Some years back, they made a decision that when they were describing someone's race, if they were talking about a black person, African American, whatever, if the word black was used to describe someone, the B had to be capitalized. That was an AP, had to be that way.
Like a proper noun?
Like as though it were a proper noun. Like if I said, my friend Q is a black man, the word black.
Q and black.
Q, of course, because that's your name. But the adjective black that's describing you as a man.
What significance does it? Why would that? Why is that significant? I guess
that was the AP's thing. They weren't that way for any other race. Only black people. But the reason I bring it up is not to necessarily comment on that decision so much as to say, okay, if you want to know where your news comes from, that was a decision made by AP News. So if you're reading something in print and you see the word black capitalized when it's describing someone's race, that news story came from AP. So as to your point, there's only a few companies that control all the news.
Oh, yeah. When
you read a story, if you see that's a moniker, and there are other style monikers that you can see, but that's one. You can see, hey, I thought this was, local TV 13 news. No, guess what? That was a national story written by somebody for the whole nation and just picked up. They
just picked up.
And the content was moderated to the point where someone was forced to capitalize an adjective in a way that it normally wouldn't be. Mm-hmm. Everything that we see is controlled.
Oh yeah.
Everything that we see.
But it's hard to hide behind that veil now.
It is.
Our alternative media.
And that means that sometimes you're going to see something that may or may not be true. Guess what? It's time to put your big boy pants on and make a decision for yourself whether or not what you're reading, if it seems a little hinky, do some research on it. Don't just trust what anybody tells you. Seems like that's the thing that we've had to learn now, you know? We talk about like the golden age of news. People say, oh, I wish back when Walter Cronkite was on the air, you know, we could trust Walter Cronkite. Could you? How would you know if he was lying? There wasn't anybody else out there. There was nobody fact-checking Walter Cronkite. He was
fed whatever they...
If he said the moon was made out of green cheese, you're just going to believe it because he's on TV and he's got a good voice, you know? And he can drop it, and you know.
And if you pay me enough money, I might say whatever you want.
I might say whatever you want to, or who knows what Walter Cronkite might have been. Maybe J. Edgar had something on him.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. You know,
hey, J. Edgar had. You want to be a J. Edgar back pocket.
You know, J. Edgar was like an old time P. Diddy, wasn't
he? Yeah,
like, you don't even know what this
Edgar
guy
party. Let's go to
let's go. Hey, no party like a J. Edgar party.
He got cameras you don't even know about. Yeah, he damn Watergating you. You don't even know it.
That is so funny.
J. Edgar Watergated me. Watergated by J. Edgar.
Oh no. But that's a good point. Today, if you had the leader of the FBI that was, you know, those things would have been known immediately. You know, some of his proclivities, as it were. You know, questions would have been asked in the media about the man's proclivities. But as it were,
proclivity.
He gets away with it because there was no media.
Proclivity.
Wow. I love this time.
Yeah.
Because it may be confusing, but it's always been confusing.
You mean the age, the day and age we're in?
I love this day and age. Yeah.
I love this day and age.
I love my phone, the ability I have to go online and watch my daughter sleeping in her crib if I want to.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. But there it is, you know?
Wow.
That doesn't mean things couldn't change and be better.
The time we're in.
The times we're in are good.
The times we're in.
But it was good 20 years ago, too.
But, I mean... Ooh, excuse me, Shay.
For me, it was.
I mean, with that being said, yes, information flows freely, but I think it's like a double-edged sword. You can get cut. It cuts both ways.
It does.
Yeah, I can say what the hell I want to say, but now if I say something...
It's out there.
And it's out there. Say somebody's recording me, I don't know, or let's say they can take stuff out of context. They can just give you a sound bite of something and not hear everything I had to say to back that sound bite.
They can, but
and
that's
you can
harder
get
and harder now.
Real quick now, Shane.
That's harder and harder to do now because it's pretty easy to go back. You know, that double-edged sword.
It's a double-edged sword.
Also says, hey, wait a minute, I can go back and show you what I said.
The Bible says the tongue is a double-edged sword.
A double-edged sword.
Blessings and curses.
That's true.
A curse.
You'll rue the day. You'll rue the day. You'll rue the day. You'll rue the day. That reminds me of an old movie. An old Val Kilmer movie. Shout out Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer. Yeah, Val Kilmer.
It was Real Genius.
Never seen it, never heard of it.
It might have been his first movie. He was like a college kid that was, you know, at a super smart technical school or whatever. And they were
Val Kilmer still kicking? You don't hear from Val Kilmer too much.
Well, you know, they had to make sure they put him in the Top Gun movie, Maverick. You know, and he was kind of there, but he was a sickly old man. I think he's in pretty rough shape.
65.
Yeah, but I think he's got some kind of a condition that he's not doing so well. I can't remember what it is.
He has Parkinson's.
Is it? Who was it somebody passed away? Somebody significant passed away recently. Can't remember who that was now that I'm thinking about.
Oh, I couldn't tell you.
Oh, well. I guess it wasn't that significant, was it?
Yeah, we don't remember.
Quincy Jones recently.
Yeah, Quincy Jones. Quincy Jones
Maybe
like 100 years old. Though. He was old dude.
Yeah, he lived his life.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure some dirt probably gonna come out on him. You know, he's probably kicked the bucket at the right time.
You know? Yeah, I mean,
Quincy Jones. You know,
back in the day, he probably sowed a few oats.
Yeah, I know he did.
I mean, hey, I'm not hating.
No, you ain't known them either.
You do you, brother.
You got any exciting stories for us?
Man, I don't know.
Season opener?
Well, I'm already looking towards the next...
Tell me something polarizing.
Something polarizing.
Provocative.
Something provocative. Something polarizing.
Polarizing. Give me another P word to go with polarizing and provocative. It's only
polarizing, provocative, and what?
Proclivity.
Polarizing.
How can we put that in the sentence and make that flow?
Polarizing
with
provocative proclivities.
Proclivities. Ooh, proclivities of polarizing, provocative story.
Here you go. You ready?
I'm ready.
P. Diddy has several polarizing, provocative proclivities.
Ooh.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Which may...
Polarizing. P. Diddy is polarizing.
P. Diddy's polarizing proclivities. Provocative, polarizing proclivities.
Okay, there it is. Yeah. Like on the stream. Like
a puppet.
Take that.
Ah, P. Diddy, man. You know, too much fame.
Oh, man.
Too much fame.
I hope it don't ruin me. I hope it don't ruin me, Shane. I'm already
give it a shot.
Pretty ruined. You know,
I'm willing to give it a shot.
You give me, oh man,
I can handle it now. I think.
I think so.
And when I was younger, I don't think I could have. But as it stands now, you know.
You think you can handle it?
I think I could handle it.
I think so too.
I think I'd, like if it was a windfall of cash, I think I'd probably give a lot of it away.
I think I would. I mean, how much you need, really?
Yeah, how much you need.
Like I looked at Elon Musk worth like $450 billion.
Billion.
Would it be?
450 billion.
I think my boy Bezos sitting at second at 250 billion. At
that point, it's just a number.
Oh yeah, I mean,
you're so isolated from, you're so far from being able to possibly ever go broke.
Correct.
That's just a number.
How much money is that really though? Like, how much money could you give everyone in the world or in America? What is it? What America has? What, 7 million?
So
how many people we got in America?
1,000 times a million is a billion.
Correct.
So you could give 400,000 people $1 million, and that would give that would be 4 billion, and you still
that's only 4 billion.
Yeah, and you say he's
450 billion.
450 billion. So 400. Hang on, now you got me mixed up.
He's worth $450 billion.
1,000 times a million is a billion. So for every billion,
1,000 millions equals a billion.
Yeah, so 400,000 people could get $1 million. He could give $1 million to 400,000 people.
400,000 people.
And he would still have the point whatever of $1 billion left.
Of $1 billion.
Yeah, whatever that is. Yeah. At that point, you can't not make money. When you got that kind of money,
you can't not make money.
Yeah, you can do stupid stuff and still make money. You
can afford to do stupid stuff and lose money,
as Elon Musk has.
I'll be.
Yeah.
Let's start a damn spaceship company.
Could you name 400,000 people, or could you come up with 400,000 people you'd give $1 million to?
Oh, no.
No way.
I'm pretty sure it's 400,000 people that would take $1 million from me.
I would give you $1 million, Q. If I
had it, yeah.
$400 billion, I would give you $1 million.
Pay me back when you can.
When you can.
You can.
A small loan. Isn't that what Donald Trump took? A small loan.
He took a small loan.
My father gave me
a
small loan of $1 million from there.
Give me $1 million head start.
Man. Yeah. That's a good,
And everything else that comes with that million. I'm pretty sure his dad had financial advisors, had
networks.
He had
of people.
A network.
Yeah,
he was almost set up to succeed at that point.
And he grew up thinking about the possibilities of a businessman on a large scale.
Mm-hmm. Granted, he turned that into what he is now. Not taking nothing from him, but what they call it.
You and I grew up with working class, in regular folks' environments, as it were. Nobody we knew was doing $1 million deals.
Not at all. We was trying to make ends meet.
So,
it's hard to do $1 million deals trying to make ends meet.
Hard to do $1 million deals trying to make ends meet. I saw a quote one time. It said, what was it? People who go broke in a big way very rarely miss meals. People who go broke in a big way rarely miss meals. I heard MC Hammer talking about that. He had some money troubles, and I guess maybe didn't invest his money right. I don't want to talk about the man's business because I don't know. But I heard him talking about...
He had a big entourage, too.
He did, yeah. He
kept an entourage.
Yeah, he spent a lot of money.
I think he really...
But I saw him on an interview talking about going bankrupt.
Irresponsibly tried to help people out.
And he said, now listen, keep in mind, when I say going broke, it ain't like a dude on the street going broke.
Correct.
He said, I'm not, I still have food and what have you. He said, I got money trouble, but it ain't like the guy on the street.
Correct.
And I thought it was big of him to admit that, you're at a different level, brother.
I can still eat a steak if I want.
You can still get a steak.
But I still got a penthouse too.
Yeah. I just only have one now.
I only got one now.
Yeah, I just got the one.
I went broke, Correct.
But, we talk about money. I know a guy in Miami Beach, Florida, who owns a hotel. We've talked about him before.
Yeah.
He owns more than a hotel. He owns, I don't know what kind of properties down there.
I think we talked about him last.
I think we've talked about him some, yeah.
Yeah.
But he really lives very, very simply. If you met the guy, you'd never know, in the evening time. At morning time, he runs on the beach. In the evening, he practices his trumpet on the beach with a couple guys he knows. It just looks like an old, just a dude. And part of the reason why he's got the kind of money and funds that he does is that he's always just lived simply. No matter how much money he was making, he said, listen, this is my lifestyle. If I make more money than that, then okay, I can invest it or whatever, but I'm not going to increase my lifestyle. This is how I like to live. I don't need the trappings of somebody that's got a lot of money. And that comes all the way back to what you were talking about earlier about peace of mind.
Oh, peace of mind.
And freedom.
Invaluable.
And if I knew somebody who embodies that peace of mind spirit, one person I would say is Mr. Mitch Novick from Miami Beach, Florida. Mitch Novick, if you're listening to this, shout out to you, sir.
Shout out Mitch Novick.
I remember the first time I met Mitch Novick was the first time that Jessica and I had gone to South Beach. We didn't know what to expect, and we rented a room in this quaint little old Art Deco hotel. And there's no front desk or anything when we got there. Our instructions were, this and such is the code to the front door. Your room is number X and such, and I'll meet you there. And we get up there, and it's this guy, just wearing like some khakis and just like a T-shirt or whatever. And we do the deal for the rent for the room for the week on the table of the little suite that it's in, and he gives us the keys and tells us, whatever. Next thing you know, I'm looking out over the street from the window, and I see this same guy, but now he's got on cut-off jeans and no shirt, and he's on one of those longboard skateboards going through the intersection carrying a tiny little poodle dog in his arms. And right then I knew this guy's got something figured out. He's just rented me a hotel room in a hotel that he owns the building, and yet in the afternoon sun in Miami Beach, he's riding his skateboard with his poodle dog. It's a nice way to live.
Wow. He'll be that millionaire next door.
He is a millionaire. For sure.
Next
Several
door.
times over.
But you won't even know. He lives in
You never know.
My neighborhood.
Well, now if you went to
his old Toyota,
if you went to his place now, you would have a pretty good idea that he's got some money because he's built a penthouse on the top of this hotel, and it's absolutely beautiful. It's it's not huge, but it's just gorgeous. It's a fantastic place, and he paid cash and he lived in one of the rooms of the hotel for years and years while he saved up money and built this as he could, cash money, like we talking about with a house.
Yep.
He did his own version of living in a trailer while he built the house of his dreams on the top of this hotel, and now he owns it free and clear, and he kicks back in the evening time in his little pool and watches the beach over the rooftops. You talk about people that have it figured out. Mr. Mitch Novick, shout out to you, sir. Yep.
Wow.
Next time I come down there, we'll go eat some star fruit.
Off his tree.
Off of his own tree.
Off his own tree. It's a Mitch Novick star tree.
Yep. That's a fun place. I wouldn't want to live there all the time, but I could do it for a while.
Wow.
Man, how long have we been talking?
If I had to guess, I'm gonna say 65 minutes.
64 minutes and 29 seconds.
That
As I looked at it, that is hot right there. Get up, walk around a couple of times, air that. Oh, man.
He good. Yeah.
He good. Right terrible. That was good right there. He good.
Terrible. Well, we getting dangerously close, Shay.
Dangerously close. That was very accurate.
Close. If I said it was, I said 1,000 times.
It seemed like we just sat down. Sat down.
Golly.
That's funny because we've spent an abnormal amount of time around one another. What with going up to Nashville for your birthday and
oh man, that was so
hanging
cool,
out
man.
with the kids for.
I think we all had a good time.
I think we had a great.
Then
time.
we got to go have a good steak at Nick's.
Good steak.
Good
Shout out Nick's
steak.
Restaurante.
Nick's Restaurante. A little hole in the wall.
Shout out Chips and Salsa.
Mm-hmm.
Chips and Salsa, right there by Nick's Restaurante, where we went and shot a couple of games of pool.
Shout out Turtle at Chips and Salsa.
Shout out Turtle from Chips and Salsa.
We didn't even talk about Turtle.
We didn't even get a chance to get the Turtle's name.
Oh man!
You know what we got to do?
He said his name was Turtle,
but we didn't get the reason.
Oh,
we didn't get the story.
We asked him why they called.
I was going to get the story when we came back, and then we had a couple of glasses of wine at dinner, and we all decided to call it.
How would you describe Turtle? Well, I mean, we gonna go down a damn rabbit hole.
How would you describe Turtle?
We dangerously close. Describe Turtle real quick, though.
I'm trying to think who I might compare him to.
What was his job title? What we call him, bartender?
I would say he was a server, a waiter.
Was he the waiter? He seemed like he maybe was the manager of the place too, though. I think
he was very accommodating.
Very, very accommodating.
He came up, introduced himself, explained, the rules of the place and how the customs or whatever. And
he reminded me of almost like a garden gnome. Like
a garden gnome.
Like he had the red beard, you know what I'm saying?
Was it red?
It was red. He had a red beard, stocky,
Did he have a man bun or a ponytail?
I don't think so.
But
I don't remember man bun. I remember man bun and ponytail.
So.
I think he kind of just had like a regular little cut.
He seemed like I don't know, man. He was good. You know what we need to do is we need to go back down to Chips and Salsa, get Nick, all three of us go back down there, shoot some pool, get the story from Turtle, find out why he's called Turtle.
Why the hell they call you Turtle?
And finish our, we need to do that.
And he gave me a free drink on my birthday.
He did give you a free drink on your birthday.
Any selection.
Anything. That's true. That's true.
Any selection. He said
he could have made you drink like some Evan Williams or something.
He said, this is our menu. Any drink
have
you want.
What you
it's
have.
Your birthday.
It was great.
Have anything you want.
We had a great time.
Man, shout out Turtle.
Shout out Turtle. Chips and Salsa.
We met a guy named Turtle. Oh man, you can't make this shit up, Shay.
I'm lacking in wisdom, man. I'm feeling a little small up top, man.
I think I came up with a new type trope I want to introduce my words of wisdom
Trope.
I don't know if that's the proper term.
I think it works.
A trope.
Of course. What you got for me, man? This is
I've been trying to like really dial in my word selection and my vocabulary when I sit down with such vernacular excellence.
Vernacular excellence.
See?
Vernacular excellence.
I just came up with that one, Shay.
You heard it first here, ladies and gentlemen, at that 86 Kids Studio.
Look, I've been having to step up my game, man.
It's an exercise in vernacular excellence.
Vernacular excellence.
Wow.
So,
all right, what you got?
Here's what I got. And when I introduce my words of wisdom, I wanna come in with like, if it resonate, let it marinate. If it don't apply, let it fly. How does that sound?
If it resonates, let it marinate.
If it don't apply,
let it fly.
Let it fly.
I like it. I like it.
You like
That's
that?
Very nice.
Would that be considered a trope?
I might title the episode that.
If it resonates, let it marinate.
Yeah.
If it don't apply, let it fly.
But that's a great way to introduce those words of wisdom.
That's a little long.
That's fantastic. No, it's not long. It's perfect.
We can go down a rabbit hole.
No, but that's perfect.
That's perfect. Right. You like that.
So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, kids of all ages, here's Q the Messenger with words of wisdom. And remember, if it resonates, let it marinate. If it don't apply, let it fly. Go, kid.
Man, Shay.
All right, Q.
I think we get better at this.
Every time.
And we grow. And, I have new little things I like to add in, But to stay on track. So in Colorado, in the southeastern plains of Colorado, you have cows and you have buffalo.
Okay.
They kind of all out there in the plains with one another. So most of the time, storms come from the west. When we are in the plain, here comes a storm.
Usually from the west. Got it?
Usually from the west.
Didn't know that.
Don't get too caught up in the details.
Okay, all right.
Don't get too caught up in the details.
Right,
don't tell the story here, Shane.
I got you. Storyteller license is active.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
No, so they both see the storm coming. They both take off running. Storm's coming from the west, headed east. Typically, the cows, they run away from the storm. So the cow's going to run east.
Trying to outrun the storm.
Outrun the storm.
Okay.
The buffalo tends to run into the storm. Inadvertently, when the cows run away from the storm, guess what's happening? The storm is keeping up with the storm.
Right.
So
the storm's going to catch them. You can't outrun it.
The storm's going to catch them, and it's going to be in the storm a lot longer than the buffalo that ran towards the storm. So in life, we're going to have storms. With those storms, are you going to run away from it, or are you going to run towards it? Are you the buffalo, or are you the cow? That's all I got, Shay.
If it resonates, let it marinate.
If it don't apply,
let it fly.
Let it fly.
This is Shane the Brain, here with Q the Messenger and Kevin the Boss Man Richardson. You've been listening to Vendor Chronicles. Catch our next episode. In the meantime,
peace. Hey.